And he's like, it's so like he opened up this closet that was like next to the bathroom, and it was just ceiling to floor of Pampers baby wipes. What's up, dude? We are back.
What's happening, my friend?
Oh man, what a week we've had. But weather's been great. Can't complain there. Like
Yeah,
it's
right.
usually here in Nebraska about this time, it's usually about 2,000 degrees outside, but it's actually been pretty nice. So
Yep.
I'll take it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and
Sub
then
80 degrees.
exactly. And then kind of new, I mean, this might date this episode a little bit, but kind of exciting stuff. Deftones laid out a new record.
Mm, mm.
Um, I've been waiting all week to talk to you about that. I wanted to see what you thought because I got my thoughts and feelings. I wanted to see
Yeah.
what you thought.
You know, when the first couple songs that they put out, I was kind of like, okay, I get it. We're kind of
Yep.
leaning into the soundscape thing, and it's not real hooky in terms of riffs, like
Right.
guitar riffs, which, as a guitar player, that's kind of what I'm listening to when I listen to that kind of music.
Right.
And but when the whole album came out and I started at the beginning and just listened to the whole thing straight through, I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because I had it on while I was doing other stuff. I was listening to it, but I was also doing this, that, and the other thing, right?
Right.
And it actually lended itself very well to that.
Yeah.
Like you could come in and out of it, you
Yes.
know. And I was like, oh, and because when I stopped listening or when it was done, I'm like, did I give it the full
Yeah.
attention, to be able to talk about this? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. Like I was listening to it and jamming
Yeah.
along, but it's like, I guess where I'm going with that is, you can kind of, come and go with it. And those records are fun.
They are fun, and that was going to be kind of my thing because I think that that's also I don't want to say like a razor's edge, but it's you can easily be on that fence, having that kind of mentality of what you're talking about, how you can come in and out of it.
Mhm.
It's also like it's an easy record to just kind of have on the background though too,
Yeah.
and that again could be good or bad. But I would say, is it adrenaline? Is it White Pony or that? No, not at all.
Right.
But it's good. It's solid. It's polished.
Yeah.
It's Deftones,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not aggressive by any means. That's kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
It's way more melodic, way
Yeah.
more black light, and just kind of toke up some of your favorite stuff there and let it
Sure.
ride, kind of a thing. But
Yeah.
no, it was good though. I mean, it's not. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like you just want to hear some good jams and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's good. I mean, you can't really make out a lot of what Chino's saying or anything like that, but you never really could too much in the first place, but no, I thought it's just nice,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's all right.
It exceeded my expectation. We'll put it
Oh
that
yeah,
way. Um, I wasn't expecting a whole, guitar masterclass and riff writing or anything
right.
like that. Just given the way Stefan talks about it
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah,
So I get what he's doing. And I think he's really trying to define that role or redefine that role. Um, but again, I think, and they've been ever since White Pony, they've been really good about creating the vibe of the song. And I know that's what he's referring to when he says soundscape.
yeah,
They've been really, really good at doing that.
yeah,
You know, I mean, back on White Pony, I mean, songs like, Digital Bath, like that's a
yeah.
whole vibe, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
totally. Yep.
And, and that kind of changed, I think, their, creative course,
Right.
was that record. And we've kind of ended up, um, at this one. And, I think, and I want to preface what I'm about to say with this. I am in no way a shoegaze connoisseur by any stretch.
Yeah.
There are a couple of shoegaze bands that I do listen to frequently. I think that that Deftones are kind of leaning into that more, whether they're trying to or unintentionally doing it, I don't know, but I
Yeah.
think they're kind of leaning into that, and that's okay, totally fine. But again, like you and I have talked about before, as a musician, as you get older, you can't go a
Oh,
thousand miles an hour,
no, you can't. And honestly, I think when you're a teenager and you're in your early 20s and stuff, and you're trying to figure out life, I mean, it's easy to have a lot of aggression and stuff. And I think, honestly, I think
Yeah.
Jonathan Davis said it best. Like, this was back like an album or two after Follow the Leader, even. And they're like, oh, what's next? What's next? And he's like, I've kind of worked all my stuff out. It's hard to keep coming out with all this aggressiveness, because it's like there's not anything else to write about anymore. It's like as a lyricist, you kind of write writing songs is very therapeutic. And sometimes, it can be cathartic, and sometimes it can pull up those demons every single time that you sing that song, and it gets tiring, as
Yeah.
as a singer, because it's a lot of emotions that you're putting out there. And it's difficult to do that. But I think as you get older, again, not saying that these guys are super old, they could still be going around for a while, because I think Chino's like 54, I think is what I saw.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
And which is, back when back when they came out, I'd be like, oh man, they should hang that up. That's really old. But no, I'm still glad that they're still putting it out there. But no, it's pretty melodic and interesting. You can tell it's more reserved and more sophisticated in a lot of different
Yeah.
ways. And there's a lot of backup stuff that they got going on, a lot of
Mm,
layers and everything. And I thought it was really well done. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, production wise, I think it was pretty flawless.
yeah,
I don't recall who produced the record, but yeah, I mean, yeah, no
yeah,
notes there for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
But kind of going back to what you were saying, I think at a certain point, you're not pissed off all the time,
Correct.
and you still want to be heavy and
Yeah.
in terms of your sound, but it's like, you know I mean, there's only a handful of people that are going to be pissed off until the day I die. Kerry King, people like that, that are just going to be 220 BPM
Yeah.
forever, and they're
Always.
gonna
Yep.
ride that wave all the way to the grave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you want to kind of chill out a little bit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good segue to get into what we're going to talk about today. Um, yeah. So obviously, new metal first came out. I mean, it was raw, in your face, teen angst, whatever you want to call it, just being different, big middle finger
Mm,
to the record labels, whatever. And
yeah.
nobody knew what was actually happening, but it was happening. And it's like, whoa, how did the lightning strike from the ground up this time? It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense, but it's happening. And it was really cool. You got all these Godfather bands, pioneer bands, Godfather bands, whatever you want to call them, that were
Mm,
coming out and just really disrupting the whole thing. And then the record label's like, okay, I think we got it figured out. All right. And so, but the thing is like once they kind of got involved, where it wasn't just like throwing on an album, throw it out there and see what happens, and they started thinking, we could put some formula to this, and
yep.
they started getting
Mm,
their little dirty claws involved and stuff, and started kind of forming their own pathway with this style of music. It started to get a little, dare I say, lame. And
yeah.
that's kind of what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I think that as in true music industry fashion, they figured out what worked, and they were going to just press that button over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's how we end up with a band that I wanted to kind of chat about today. You end up with a band like Saliva,
Yep.
and it's it's very formulaic, it's very accessible, it's very appealing to the masses, we'll
Yep.
say. It had a lot of the new metal kind of elements to the music, and that was kind of what was going to keep it quote modern. But they were going to make sure that it got on every radio station, every rock radio station in
Right.
the country,
Right.
and by and large they were successful in doing
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the one thing that I want to preface to you before we get too far in this episode is, you know, first and foremost, if you're a fan of Saliva or any other band that we bring up today, please understand that we have mad respect for all these guys,
Yes.
because obviously they made it way further in the industry than we did, so they do
Yeah,
got some
they got that on
ability,
us.
obviously. Yeah,
Yeah,
they got that on us. But no, I mean, I think they're all very talented musicians,
yeah,
especially with Saliva. I saw them 3 times live. Now, granted, they were playing with somebody else I wanted to see. I wasn't going to see Saliva. No offense to those that do. But they brought it alive every single time. I
yeah.
mean, especially Josey Scott. I mean, he was all over the
Yeah.
place, and he really knew how to command the crowd and stuff. So again, mad props to anybody that likes this stuff. But again, just in our era of, when we're coming up through this and everything, these are just our opinions, and that's
Right.
that.
Who were they touring with? Do you remember?
Back then, I think the first time I saw them, I think it was actually at Test Fest.
Okay, so
When we
festival.
played at
Yeah.
Test Fest at a
Hmm.
festival. And then second time I believe was Seven Dust maybe. And
Okay.
then I think I'm probably getting this wrong, but I think I also saw him with Godsmack.
Gotcha. Okay.
And but
And that's
yeah,
kind of the tie there too, is that, all these bands toured together. So I mean,
right.
one could argue that, well, Saliva's not really new metal. It's like, well, maybe, maybe not, but they toured with new metal bands.
Yep.
So you can see how everything was kind of, intermixed, and
Right.
how everybody kind of got lumped together, really.
Right.
And we've said before, it was, the new metal kind of moniker is more of a timestamp than anything else. um but I am glad you brought up Josey Scott, because I do have kind of a fun story
Nice.
to tell about him specifically, and then kind of something else I want to chat through after that.
Sure.
But
Sure.
um, so quick story. I was and this is, I think, the first Saliva record was just kind of hitting its peak, and they were just everywhere.
Yes.
And I remember I was um, going into a radio station to do some interviews, and I remember we pulled in the parking lot, and another car pulled in right behind us, and they parked right next to us. And sure enough, I get out one side, and this other guy gets out, right across from me. It was Josey Scott. And and just keep in mind, I've never met this man before in my life.
Sure.
Up to that point, he has no idea who I am. So he kind of, our eyes kind of, we make eye contact. He's like, "Oh, hey man, what's up?" I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, "What, are you in town? Are you guys playing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't remember where we were playing." And I'm like, "Are you guys in town?" Like, he totally thinks he knows me at this
Oh,
point.
okay.
And he's like, "Oh, we're, here," and all that. He's like, "Oh, are you doing press?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I'm assuming you are too." He's like, "Oh yeah." And now we're kind of walking into the building together, and he was incredibly nice.
Yeah.
Like, he was just a really cool guy. And he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "I'm bummed I can't come see you, and have a great show." And I'm like, "You too, man." And even he opened the door for me. Like, he was just a genuinely nice
Yeah.
guy. And his band was kind of following him in, and we kind of split off and went to where we were, doing our stuff. And all that stuff gets finished, and we're on the way out and run into the rest of the band. He must have still been in doing whatever he was doing, and they were the exact opposite of
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah. And not necessarily rude, but just really kind of I call it a lack of humility, maybe. Um, just really kind of like, "Yep, we're the rock stars, you know,
Yeah.
point me to the stage, point me
Yeah.
to tour bus, whatever." And I just remember leaving, just being really annoyed by that.
Yeah.
And, so from that point on, it was like, okay, he's cool, but F them,
Yeah.
and that kind of became the thing. And they did go on to have some marginal success after that, I think, even
Sure.
still, after the peak of that record cycle. But I'll always remember that, so when people, say things about Saliva, I'm like, "Yeah, screw them." But
Yeah.
he was cool. He was
Well,
cool.
good.
So,
We'll see.
you know,
There you go.
and and I think too that, it just goes to show you, and this was 25-ish years ago. It just goes to show you that, being nice to somebody, and, just being genuine with somebody. I
Yep.
mean, granted, he had no idea who I am, but assuming that, we did know each other, and he was that way, it goes a long way, as
Absolutely.
does the opposite,
Yeah.
because from that moment on, I was like, I have no interest in dealing with that band anymore.
Right.
I don't care if we're offered shows with them or not. And we were. And no, thank you.
Well,
You know.
that's what they say.
So
Don't ever meet your idols, Not
yeah,
not that they
exactly.
were your idols by any means, but gosh, I mean, I don't understand
Yeah.
how anybody can be like that. Um,
Just didn't make sense.
it doesn't, and I don't know. And I'm a very empathetic person myself, and so I'm always putting myself in other people's shoes and stuff. And
Sure. Yeah.
and I can honestly say that's one of the things that, granted, I wasn't as famous as Josey Scott or Saliva or anything like that, but we did have a lot of interaction with our fans, and I've signed a lot of
Yeah.
autographs and did a lot of,
Sure.
a lot of stuff. And that was my thing was like, I'm never gonna come across like that. And back
Yeah.
then we called it Eddie Vedder syndrome. And I was like, I'm never gonna be, an Eddie Vedder syndrome
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing. I didn't care if I mean, I was literally at the hospital and we had just uh my wife had just gave birth to my first kid and I was outside smoking a cigarette, and there was a kid out there, and he actually recognized me, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Jeff," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I saw you guys at such and such, da da da." I'm like, "Oh, cool, what's up?" And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" I was like, "I just had, my wife just had her baby and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, congratulations." We had a cool freaking interaction. What he
Yeah.
didn't know was I was smoking a cigarette, going, "Oh my god, I'm a dad. What the hell am I
Right.
gonna do?" So I'm like freaking out, and I could have totally been like, "F you, dude, get away from me," or something like that.
Right.
But no, I was just like,
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that, he wanted to actually talk to me. We had a good conversation. We talked for
Yeah.
probably, I think we had 2 cigarettes, and it was a good,
Yeah.
good conversation. So good
Yeah.
dude, whoever that
I
guy is, whatever his name is, I can't remember. I'm sorry, but he was rad.
I
So
part of me misses the days where you measured time in cigarettes.
yes, absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
you know, uh,
But
15 years with that one at this point. But
yeah,
anyways,
15 years. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think when I quit. I
yeah,
quit in 2007, I think. So I'm going
yeah,
on almost 20. Go figure.
nice, nice.
Anyways, that's a whole
It's
nother subject. But
yeah. Anyway,
anyways,
but I kind of wanted to tell that story to tee up this, part of the conversation too. So Saliva in particular, of course, the band got another singer, so they parted ways
right.
ultimately, right?
Yeah.
I don't recall if he quit or got fired or whatever, or both. Um, so the band got a new singer, and then Josey Scott decides that he's going to do Josey Scott's Saliva,
Yeah.
right? So now what you have is this back and forth in music press, the new singer and Josey Scott just kind of going back and forth at each other. And it's
Yeah.
like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, I
Well,
mean,
that's tough because it's like, okay, so again, I don't know. I don't know Mr. Scott myself, but hearing your interaction, that's actually pretty cool. That sets him up a couple more levels for me. Because that's just a nice thing.
yeah,
And whether he knew you or not, it was
yeah,
just very kind of him to even hold the door open and stuff. I think that's pretty
right.
cool. But with the thing with the this is Josie Scott's Saliva and stuff like that,
Mm,
it's obviously there's a lot of drama right there between him and those guys and stuff. And it's really weird that he did that, but it's also like maybe he's also has the wherewithal that a lot of people know the name Saliva, but don't know the name Josie Scott.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
so kind of kudos to him for being a
yeah,
realist with that,
right.
but also, it comes across kind of pretentious,
Yeah, a little
a
bit.
little bit of a reach,
The
but I
marketing
don't know.
is quite interesting. I'm not
Right.
gonna lie. Um, but but yeah, it kind of it raises the question. It's like, okay, push come to shove, which one are you going to go see? Are
Yeah.
you going to go see the singer sing the songs, or are you going to go see the band with the new guy sing the songs?
Yeah.
And it's and it happens time and time again.
Right.
There's tons and tons of scenarios just like this one.
Right.
Whether it was not new metal or anything, but happened with Queensryche. It's been happening with them for 20 some odd years, I
Yeah.
think. And and it just, I
Skid
mean, Skid
Row.
Row.
Yeah, that's like
You
the biggest one, man.
know? Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you talk
And
about laying into it. Which band do you go see? I'm telling you, every day, Sebastian Bach.
yeah, I'm gonna go see the singer. Like
Yeah,
honestly,
it's
unless
how
it's
do you not?
right, unless it's a scenario where it's kind of a like a virtuoso player that you
Yeah,
can't replace. That's a little
correct.
bit different. But I mean, if it's pretty, equal
Right,
parts on both sides, it's like I'm gonna have to default to the singer. So
right.
naturally, Saliva proper is getting upset because he's cutting into their ticket sales, and now it's
Yep,
this. Okay, well, let's go low in the press and see if we can't get some of that back. And it's like you're just making yourself look dumb, man.
right. Yeah,
You just
agreed.
are.
Yeah,
And I was reading and I can't recall the new singer's name for Saliva, but he went on this whole rant, and I'm like, just stop, just
yeah.
you know, top lip and bottom lip, you know, push them together,
Push them
you know.
together. That's
Um,
right. Step away
and I'm
from the
like,
keyboard too.
you're just digging your hole, man. And
Yeah,
and it's like I lose a lot of respect for people when they do that. It's like, listen, I get it. It was gonna cut into your money, but
yeah.
he has every right to do it.
Oh,
And
totally.
I think a lot of people are probably, on the same page as we are with,
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna go see the singer, especially when it's a very, dare I say, very simple
sure.
musical composition,
Right,
So it's not incredibly tough to play. So can his band pull it off? Most likely.
right, right. Yeah,
You know.
because the thing is, it's like, especially when it comes to simple stuff like that too, it's the singer becomes almost the main instrument,
Mhm.
and then so,
100%.
if you change that tone, it's the same words, it's the same notes, but you change that tone, it throws it all off.
Mhm.
And like, so for example, coming back to Skid Row, I can't remember that there, I think he actually just left too, but the new guys that was Skid Row.
Man.
Great singer, absolutely phenomenal. And if he came out with Skid Row, they could have totally pulled off Skid Row, you know what I'm saying? But it's just, it wasn't Sebastian Bach. And in
Mhm.
some senses, he might have been a better singer in some senses than Sebastian Bach. But the thing is, just it's when you got that vibe and that overall tone that mixes perfectly with the tone of
Yeah.
the band, and everything. That's what's encapsulated, and that's what's sold, and that's what we feel and
Mhm.
remember and everything. And then you just change it just a little bit, it's still just changed a little bit. And that's why,
Right.
even, we've talked about Spine Shake and stuff, and like Spine
Mhm.
Shake's both one of our favorite bands and stuff. And
Yeah.
Johnny came out and they're redoing it, which is good, but he's just older and he just has a different tone. So it almost sounds
Yeah.
like they have a different singer, and it's
Yeah.
hard, it's hard to keep going on that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you remove, that kind of element, and it's not the same. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, anybody who, you know, I don't want to, I guess I want to give credit where it's due. Any integral part, you remove one of them and it's
oh
going to be
yeah,
different. Every
yeah,
time it's going to be different, So, I mean, it's another reason why I like what Spine Shank did,
yeah,
in terms of, I don't know if it was discussed or not, but, Johnny, doing it, it's like if it was somebody else, even if they were doing it sounded more true to the record, it wouldn't have been the same.
right,
It wouldn't have worked,
right,
you know, but it's one of those things. But it's also a lot of people, um they're celebrating their records from that time, which I get.
yeah.
There's other people who are just trying to kind of ride the wave and see how much money they can make, off the quote revival of the genre. um is Saliva one of those? Maybe.
I mean,
Who
they
knows,
sold a
who
lot of
knows.
records.
They did.
He was on freaking MTV Cribs, so you gotta be.
Was he really?
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
Josey Scott was.
Oh yeah, yeah, I totally remember that.
Oh,
It
I'll
was
be
so.
looking that up later.
Oh, dude, you got to. It was kind of funny because like
Making
the,
a note.
see, this just goes to like what I remember so much about him on that episode was he had a really nice house, but it was kind of like a down to earth house. It wasn't like this enormous mansion, but it was a nice place. But it was, you could tell he's kind of from the South and stuff, and so they probably made pretty decent money, but nothing that is like, like in sync money or anything like that.
Right.
But I just remember like the one thing that stood out to me was like, he was bragging about like you have to have baby wipes. And he's like, it's so like he opened up this closet that
Nice.
was like next to the bathroom, and it was just ceiling to floor of Pampers baby wipes. And he's like, we use these for the bathroom. He's like, don't ever use toilet paper. And I'm like, what?
I
It's like,
feel like
this is what
he
you're bragging about on TV, dude, is baby wipes. I just thought that was just the funniest thing ever. It was like, that
I
was
feel like
what
he
he's
should have
gonna.
seen a doctor.
No,
You know,
I
that sounds
think
like
what
a
he was
problem.
saying, yeah, what he was getting at is like you, because he said, is like, you just want to always make sure that when you walk away from the toilet, you're clean. And I
I mean,
get
no,
that.
I get that. I
I
get it.
get that. But to be on MTV Cribs talking about that was just like, it was the wildest thing I've ever seen. But
I
hats off to him. So,
cannot
hey, if you
wait
want to
to
know
go
one thing
watch it.
about Josey Scott, he's got a clean butt.
I cannot wait to watch that. Not
Oh,
to
yeah, you got to watch it.
not to totally tangent. But speaking of, I guess he's kind of new metal. Um, um, what's his name? Zoltan from Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
He's selling his house in Vegas for like 20 some odd $1 million. He did a walkthrough tour with somebody, and this house is like a dream house.
That's
Like
crazy.
it is so rad. And
But
I'm like,
see,
you're
okay.
in Five Finger Death Punch, man. How do you have that kind of money?
Okay. So, this is what we're talking about, bro. Because here's the thing. And I mean, say what you want, but Five Finger Death Punch sells a lot of records, and
Yeah,
it's just the thing is they appeal to the masses,
yeah.
like you think of oh my gosh, what's the singer's name?
For Five
Mike.
Finger Death Punch, Ivan Moody.
Yes, yes, there you go. Ivan Moody, obviously, he was in Motograder first,
Yeah.
and I loved Motograder. I thought they were wicked cool.
Mm,
And I was like, but granted, I immediately charged them up to this is one of those side new metal bands that is so wonky, but like it just works really, really good. I'm like, you're never going to see these guys headlining anything. You're going to
yeah.
see them at, ranch bull shows, 300, 500 people, da da da
Yeah.
da, all over the place kind of a thing. And that was really cool. However, obviously, Motograder kept going on. Same thing, got a different singer. Ivan Moody goes off, does his own thing. And, but obviously, I think he was in like, he tried to do like his own thing like once or twice. I can't remember what it was. But, anyways, but then they started Five Finger Death Punch and immediately started hitting those butt rock hits, one
Yeah.
after another.
Yeah.
And dude, they sell a lot of records.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
get it. I mean, I see it. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know,
I'll be honest, there's a couple songs that I have saved on my Spotify from
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. No, I get it.
You
Now,
know,
again, the one thing I don't really care for that band is they keep leaning into the freaking redos of like the classic
covers.
rock
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, one hit, cool. All right. Now just
Mhm.
imagine Limp Bizkit continues to do nothing but George Michael songs. It's like, okay, guys,
Right.
calm down.
Yeah.
We see what you're doing here,
Yeah.
and so that gets a little annoying.
And we may eventually do a whole episode on this, but I think that, you know, when you're looking at cover songs, you have to find something people aren't going to expect, right?
Right.
So when Limp Bizkit did cover George Michael, nobody saw that coming, and they
No.
did it well. They made it sound like their own, and it was a little gimmicky and just a recipe for success right there.
Right.
And Five Finger, they were very, very much doing the same thing. Which song did they do? I don't even remember. Bad Company.
Bad Company. Yeah.
It's like perfect.
Yeah.
You hit the target. In terms of song choice, I don't really care for what they did with the song. They didn't take a whole lot of chances with it, but it sounds fine. But I mean, good on them. But I think the choice of song was superb.
Right.
And a lot of bands miss that, and it's something that's not really widely understood because it's like every metal band wants to cover Slayer, every metal band wants to
Yeah.
cover Pantera. Guess what? Every metal fan doesn't want to hear you cover
No.
Slayer or
No.
doesn't want to hear you cover Pantera, because guess what? They're just going to go listen to Pantera or
Exactly.
Slayer.
Yeah.
You have to give them something that they can't go home and listen to when you're trying to choose a cover, right?
Yeah.
And I've had this argument time and time again with numerous folks. But it's all right there. I mean, if you want one to land, that's kind of the attitude you have to have with it. But yeah.
And also to kind of jump on with what you're saying, because I agree with you 100%, but I also feel like it's one thing to do a cover of a song, but it's another thing to do a rendition of a song. And I think that
Mm.
that's where it's at. I think that
Yeah.
adding your own twist
Yeah.
is where the
Mm.
I think that's where people want to see it, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're just another band just
Mhm.
playing somebody else's stuff and
Yeah.
trying to make money off it. And I think that's kind of gross,
Yeah.
you know.
And yeah. And I like the way you put that, um, using the word rendition.
Yeah.
And I'll present it that way in future conversations with
Yes, you
people.
better. I'm just joking.
Um, I might get further, or else I'm going to find myself covering Slayer.
Yeah.
But
That's good.
um, but
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. It's like, if you're trying to be true to the original and it's more of a tribute kind of thing,
Yeah.
it's like I mean, if you want to like jam on it for fun,
Yeah.
cool. If you want to do
Right.
it live for fun, great. But if you're going to go and you're going to spend money in a studio to do it, take some chances, because
I
it's going to get skipped if you
I
don't.
completely agree.
You know,
Yeah, like one of the best um covers that I've ever probably seen, that I like anyways. I'm not saying the best, I'm saying one of the best. One of the best I would have to say is probably In This Moment when they did In the Air Tonight. To me, I absolutely love
I don't
that.
think I've ever heard it.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I heard non-points. They did
Oh,
well. Non-point too.
nowhere near even close. No, In This
Really?
Moment went crazy on this because it is okay. And this is the other thing, and we could go on. I don't know why we're over here, but here we are.
Hey, it's what we do. We
But
we go
this is
down
one thing that
tangents.
I've always said that Marilyn Manson is probably one of the kings at is when he does his renditions of other songs, he nails it every time. And because
Mm-hmm.
the thing is he's like, okay, I can play this song or I can do this song in my style and but still give it justice. And
Yeah,
that's something that Manson does perfectly. And In This Moment did exactly what Manson did. Is they're
gotta
like,
check it
okay,
out.
we're gonna give, we're gonna take a knee and a bow on Phil Collins right now. And because he wrote this amazing song that nobody would be able to do better than him, because it's just an iconic song. And
Yep.
then, but I tell you what, though, they did their version of it, gave it its justice, but made it bigger, if that makes sense. It is so well produced and so big, and oh my gosh, it's just amazing. I love that rendition of that song. You got to check it out.
Yeah,
You
I
got to
I
check it out.
definitely will. Um, I definitely for sure.
Yeah.
As long as it has the drum fill.
It's got the drum fill, and they do a
Say
cool thing with it.
if it didn't, then um,
They do
but
a
you know,
they do a
and
cool. I'm not gonna ruin it for you, but they do a cool thing with it.
man, I've got a lot of homework.
Yeah.
I gotta tour Josey Scott's house and listen to this track. Um,
Yes. Yeah, because like, and I'll get off this horse here in a second, but like Maria Brink, dude, her voice is
she's she's
insane.
always been good. Yeah,
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's just
I
she was just gifted with that amazing voice. She's kind
yeah
of got that rasp and everything.
yeah
And she's just so good. And but yeah, she did that song justice. And it's like, and I had this conversation with my wife not so long ago actually, and I was like, I hate to say it, but I love that song so much by with Phil Collins and everything. It's been one of those iconic 80s songs I remember hearing all the time when I was a kid and everything. I love it so much and it brings me to such a fun place. But I'm like, I kind of almost like In This Moment's version better, and that's so rare to happen, especially on such an iconic
that's
song like that.
that's high praise for
I'm telling
sure.
you, dude.
You
I'm
know,
telling you. But
and
either
that's
way,
and that's exactly kind of I think the point that we're collectively trying to get across is that if you're gonna cover a song or your rendition,
yeah,
it's you gotta knock it out of the park.
yeah,
And that's a little bit different than just learning the song and covering the song. um so
yeah.
but
Because I think there's a time and a place for that.
oh, definitely.
You and I, we did some covers here and there, back in the day.
Yeah,
We're just having fun. We didn't put on a record, but
right.
we throw one in here and there
Mm,
on a show and stuff. And especially when we did like the Dimebag tribute shows, and
yeah,
that was like one of my favorite times ever. Playing a live gig was when we did that dime show and we did
Mm.
Suicide Note 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And man, that was so much fun because like I think, I don't think anybody was expecting, because everybody, I think even the promoter told us, like, everybody try to do at least one song by either Pantera or Damage Plan. And
Yeah.
so we're like, okay. And then so we are like, dude, everybody's gonna do Walk. Everybody's gonna, all the
Mm.
typical Pantera songs and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, what's a song that nobody would probably touch? And we're like, let's do Suicides. It's like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, and dude, that was so much fun leading up that we practiced on that like crazy for so long.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the first time that we had acoustic guitars on stage,
True. I think it
you
was the
know.
only time we had
I think
acoustic
it was the
guitars
only
on
time
that
too.
stage.
But and that can be nerve-wracking in and of itself. But it
Right.
was it was super cool. And I'm sure that'll end up on YouTube eventually if it's
I hope
not
so,
there
man. If
already.
anybody's got that, I would love to see the recording of
Mhm.
that.
I've got I think I have a photo of
Yeah,
us
I've seen the photo. I
doing
think
it.
we have the photo. Somebody
Mhm.
took like an aerial shot of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
Um,
but yeah,
but
that
yeah,
was God, that was so much fun.
yeah, uh,
Anyways.
it was.
Anyways.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so back
Yeah,
to
massive pivot.
yeah, here's the pivot. So back to what
We're
we
not
were originally
Pantera
talking
fans or
about.
anything. It's fine.
No, 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 not at all. But no, yeah, so back to what we were originally talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so the labels kind of
So,
took hold of the new metal genre and started what I feel like what it is. They kind of like kneaded it out like dough, and like we just saw these rough edges or whatever
mhm,
that just ended up turning into what everybody wanted all the time. And it was just real thin, just real, it was just
right.
this super simplistic, formulaic,
Mhm,
butt rock essentially.
right.
And don't get me wrong, there's some good songs by a lot of these bands that I still turn.
Yep.
But I mean, if you okay, so let's say Stained, for example. If you listen to Stained Dysfunction, which is the first record, and then everything else after that, it's two different bands. The first band
Yeah.
is Stained. The second band is Aaron Lewis and his musicians. you
One
know,
million percent. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and it's good stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, once they figured out that, oh, okay, Aaron Lewis can really sing and he's a
Mhm,
good songwriter, they like tapped into that and they're like, okay, where can we put this crank and just continue to churn out this money? Because that's
mhm,
what they did. And I
yeah.
feel bad for Aaron Lewis. I mean, if you listen to some of his interviews nowadays, first off, he don't give a crap about what
Right.
he's saying anymore. He is not
Yeah.
holding back, but
Right.
he disparages record labels like crazy now.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the dude because he was very talented. And
Yeah.
I think that again, when you listen to Dysfunction, you could tell that this was what they were trying to do. I would love to find out what happened if it was them saying, "Hey, we know this is where the money's at. Let's go
Mhm,
for it because I'd like a new car."
right.
Or is
Sure.
it the label was like, "We saw what you did, you know, with gosh, what's the song that he did with like Fred Durst or whatever?
Is
Um,
it called Outside?
Outside, there you go.
Is that what it's
So
called?
we saw what you
Yeah.
did, and that was just like something he made up on the fly, and it hit so big, and then boom,
Mhm,
I mean, what a change of life for him. And so
yeah.
it's like, was that driven from obviously the label's going to have some drive in that, but it wasn't like them saying, yeah, let's do it, or was it all the label? And that's what I'd
Yeah.
like to know because it's
Yeah.
such a different record from Dysfunction and everything else.
Yeah, I think, in I would definitely be curious too, because if the labels had that much impact, that's kind of terrifying from an artist
Yeah.
perspective, but I think that also, kind of a difference from, then to now is that back then you had A&R departments that were actually developing artists, where now is that they want you fully developed before they even touch you,
Right.
so
Good point.
so I think that they may have been kind of working with them in that
Yeah.
capacity to get them to kind of maximize their investment because, people have to understand that, record labels, like these acts are investment pieces for them.
Of course, yeah.
That's, I mean, that's just how it exists. And so they are trying to maximize their return on their investment. So yeah, if they need Aaron Lewis to crank out another 12 songs that sound exactly like that, guess what they're going to have them do?
Yeah.
And you really do kind of, at least back in those days, sign your life away when you're signing a record deal.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that's again, speaking of Aaron Lewis, I mean, that's what he goes on and on about. It's just
Mm-hmm.
you literally sign your soul away and you
Yeah.
just can't get away from it. They
Yeah.
own everything of you,
Yeah.
and especially, you get these younger kids and stuff, and they sign these record deals and stuff, and they don't know what they're doing, and
Yeah.
they don't know that there's, professional entertainment lawyers and stuff that they could represent them and stuff. It's just like, get me in front of, I want to be at a boardroom. I want to
Right.
sit down there with a contract and a pen and just sign my life away and have no idea. Cause it's like, I'm so
Yeah.
like enthralled about getting signed that they don't realize what they're doing. But
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it happens, or it happened time and time again, during those days. I mean, I don't know why it took me this long, but I just watched the Kitty documentary
oh, really?
the other day on YouTube.
Oh, I gotta
Same,
watch that.
same kind of thing. It's like they get signed to Artemis as, I think they were 17,
Yeah.
something like
If
that.
that, I thought they were like
Yeah, 16, 17. I
16.
don't
Yeah.
remember.
Either way,
But
super young.
but see, this is, again, kind of on the back end of this is, I think it was after the second or third record. I think it was during the third record. Anyways, Artemis dropped him like a bad habit,
Yeah.
and just walked away. And record labels have, the ability to do that. And if they want to, they can just put you on a shelf and prevent you from
Yeah.
working. Like they
Yep.
can really ruin you. So,
Yep.
anyways, I think that, you know, labels were certainly to blame for the trajectory of a lot of bands, in those days. And but it does kind of pose a question that I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
um, and it occurred to me a couple minutes ago. No disrespect, of course, but do you think that stained is, or not stained, Saliva is kind of the baby wipe of new metal? Sorry, that was terrible. That
That
was
was good.
terrible.
Full circle. Here we go.
Yeah, it's like, okay, throwback. But no, I waited way too long to
No, no,
ask that
no,
question.
no, no.
So
That's
stupid.
funny.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I
I'll
don't
see
know if,
myself out now.
yeah, I'll see myself out. No, no, but I get what you're saying though. And, you know, I hate to say it, but it's like, who's the wipe? Are they, or are they,
There you
No,
go.
no, 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 no.
Okay, you saved it. Thank you. You saved
Yes,
it.
yeah, you're welcome.
Um,
But yeah,
but I do think that, in true label fashion. And that's why I think that, when we zoom out, we see these kind of movements in music. You have, whether it's hair metal and then grunge
yeah,
and then new metal. It's like, that's why you have that, because these labels just, they spread it out and roll it out to
yeah,
where it's so thin that it just disappears.
yeah,
And then, here comes the next thing. So it's exciting that, it is coming back around and people are starting to pay attention to some of those things. It's nice to see Corn selling out arenas still,
yes,
and the Deftones are bigger than they probably have
yeah.
ever been,
Yeah,
you
Chino
know.
was just saying that the other day. He said this
Mhm.
is the biggest they've ever been,
Yeah.
which is
And
awesome.
that's
Good,
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because that's at least in new metal, that's unheard of.
right. Yeah,
It's like everybody disappeared for 15 years,
yeah,
you
yep.
know.
And now everybody's going, wait, what?
Like, you guys were doing records the whole time.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
but they worked at it, and I think they of course redefined their sound a little bit.
yeah.
Deftones did. And and maybe that was strategic. Maybe that was to appeal to a newer audience, younger audience. Maybe, I mean,
Hmm.
geez, they inspired the whole shoegaze genre. I mean, if you listen to any of those bands, it sounds exactly like the Deftones.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, some of it's good, but you can only listen to it in
Oh,
small
yeah.
doses, because it's like, okay,
Gets a little
I feel
repetitive.
like I've heard this song before.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Heard
And it's
this one,
funny that you say that because that was like not to bash on it or whatever, but like that was the one thing I kept thinking about when I was listening to this record. I'm like, how does he remember all the lyrics and exactly where everything goes and all these songs? Because I swear 7 of those songs were exactly the same
Yeah.
song, and I don't understand how, and not to bash on another band here, but like, Killswitch's last album was very similar to a lot of their stuff
Yeah.
that they've done, and I'm just like, are they running out of ideas or what? Because
Yeah.
I don't know, because the thing is, I was sitting there, I'm like, Jesse's got it. Like, some of these songs sound just like there's a song on there that sounds just like Always, from a couple albums
Sure.
ago. And I'm like, are you gonna get the lyrics messed up in this? Like, how are you
Yeah.
remembering where you're at?
Gonna
But
get the songs confused.
right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
but I
mean,
get it. Yeah.
it's one of those things. I think, when you're a band defines their sound, they try to kind of hammer down on it. And
Yeah.
but I mean, those guys, um, they were doing like multiple projects at the same time that sounded exactly like the other ones. And it's like,
Yeah.
what's the difference? What are you doing?
Right.
That I mean, Times of Grace was really good. I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
it sounded exactly like Killswitch.
Exactly.
Um, but I mean, those guys, they've got the ideas. I don't think they're running out of anything. I think they're
Yeah.
trying to be a little bit strategic, but even that's a little bit more, foresight than um, perhaps Saliva.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's funny.
Again, no disrespect to the band,
No, 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 no. No.
but
But we get it.
yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So obviously, I think there's also we kind of dabbled on this a little bit too, with Stained, for example, a band that came out as such and turned into something else.
Mm.
Okay. What band pops in your head that came out as that something else? You know what I'm saying? Like, when they
Um,
came in that tail end of new metal, that was the formula was already out there. What band stands out? I know what band immediately pops in my head, but comes out as that thing that was immediately like, this is a moneymaker, and roll with it.
I feel like it's an obvious answer, but I can't.
I'm gonna say Crazy Town
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
right out of the gate. Like, and
Yeah,
honestly, they were a one hit wonder too, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that Butterfly song. And don't get me wrong, when it first came out, I was like, okay, I can see this. This is all right.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I have heard this song 20 times on the radio. I've listened to the radio 6 minutes today. How
Yeah.
how if I
See,
heard it so many?
yeah.
But
What bothered me about that song is that one, it was sampled.
yeah,
Um and it was just kind of like, and it was a I don't recall how heavy the record got, but they were, it was rock new metal kind of
yeah,
thing, and then they're sampling a Chili Pepper song. Like,
yeah.
at least play the part. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that always really bugged me. It's like, okay, let's not start doing that in this particular genre. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
So I didn't really. I mean, the song was massive,
Yeah.
and you're right, it was everywhere,
Yeah.
and it drove me nuts.
Yes.
The video was even worse. I
Right.
don't know if
Oh
you
gosh, yeah.
participated.
Yeah, that was horrible because again, they
That's
they
pretty
had
rough.
the look, of
Yeah.
like a new metal band,
Mhm.
tattoos, piercings everywhere,
Mhm.
spiky hair, blah blah blah. And I just think that the label just looked at them and they're like, right here, this is it. And
Yeah.
boom, and they just made millions off of it, which kudos, whatever. But
Yeah.
you also wonder, if Shifty'd still be alive today, if he
Sure.
wouldn't have had the
Sure.
rise and fall that he did. I mean, I think he was an addict for like a very long time. I don't know, but
Yeah. I think it
but
was.
it's too bad what happened to that guy because
Yeah.
he seemed like a pretty good dude. But either way, but yeah, but that's the band that pops in my head. That's like they just
Yeah.
came out just bam, and
Yeah. I always kind of pictured it as um they turned the record into the label, and the label said, there's no hits on this, so we're going to send you back with a different producer who's going to create the hit for you.
yeah,
And then that's how you got Butterfly.
yeah,
In the back of my mind, that's what I always pictured happened.
yeah, could be.
Who knows? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
because that
sure we could dig
song
into it, but
that song definitely does not, I don't want to say do justice for the rest of the record because it's not exactly exactly the best record in the world. However, it was heavier and stuff, and it's a party record, if that makes
yeah,
sense. It's
party
something
metal,
that, yeah, party
party new
metal.
metal.
It's, yeah, and it's something that you throw on when you're having a party and stuff, and it's got a good vibe, a good energy to
Yeah,
it. So kudos to them, give them that, but again, it's like nobody was going to a Crazy Town, you know, show to see any of that. They were just coming to
Right.
see Butterfly.
Right. And I
So,
mean, and I think this was back in the day where, your cover, like people still bought records based on their cover art,
right.
because the
Yep.
cover art was, it was very introduction to mayhem kind of
Right.
thing.
I was gonna say,
It's like
as
you've got the
memorable. I remember
girl, you got the
exactly what it looked like.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. You got the girl, tattoos,
Sucking a
blah blah blah.
lollipop.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah, that's gonna catch the eye of some 16-year-old boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, or however many million of them.
Well, you think of Godsmack's first
Mm.
record, you know,
Yep.
same
Same
thing.
exact thing.
Yep.
Same exact thing. I think we figured out the trend. I think we figured out
Yeah.
why these records were so successful.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, come to think
I
about
did,
it.
I did see. I don't know if she did an actual interview, but the woman on the cover of that Godsmack record, like she did, maybe it was a side by side, but or she did an actual interview. But I mean, you wouldn't recognize her
Yeah.
today.
Isn't that a trip?
And it's just kind of wild. Same thing with the woman on the cover of Around the Fur.
Oh, really?
Mhm. Yeah. So that was definitely the trend. Now that I'm able to just rapid fire a bunch of records
Well,
that have
see, I
that
think we're
cover.
on to something too, because I tell you what, I only remember one
What did
cover of
Saliva's
Blink
cover look
182.
like?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
Blink's put out a few albums and I just remember one. So,
Exactly.
you
I mean,
know,
music marketing 101,
yep, sex sells.
Yep. Put the
So
woman on the front and you're going to sell it. Yeah.
that's funny.
Who else had that? I mean, now I'm trying to think like
Yeah, it's like, okay, now this
who
is kind
else
of fun.
had
Here we
that
go.
kind of cover, you know, and then
Kitty.
we can, well, true,
Yep.
sort of.
Sort of.
Um,
Yep.
but
Unintentional, but
yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly. But I think that that was perhaps also part of the industry trying to sell more records.
right.
The Around the Fur has a story to it, um, but so that was not maybe as intentional as the others.
Sure.
The Blink record or Crazy Town or Godsmack,
Yeah.
but I think that was, it's like, okay, the label figured out. It's like, yep, you put an attractive woman on the cover of your record and you're going to sell a lot.
Right.
So that's what they did. And they kind of hammered down on it and
Okay. So
did
that
what
brings
they,
me to another thing I want to ask really quick because, and it's not necessarily new metal, but it's metal themed here. But I wanted to get your thoughts on this here. Okay. So
yeah.
speaking of like the women being on the front of covers and everything like that, what about this, dare I say, craze of women vocalists in metal right now that is just like everywhere?
Yeah.
Like, if you think back to new metal, you had Kitty, maybe, I don't even know if you want to call them new metal, but you have like Lacuna Coil, you have obviously uh Human Waste Project.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of like women singers in that era. Now it's like everywhere.
Yeah.
You got Spirit Box, you got Ginger, you got
Mm-hmm. I
so
mean,
many of them. And then like
you,
Kitty is being regarded as like, one of the godfathers or godmothers, what would you call it? Of all that and stuff, which I think is cool because they're getting the credit.
yeah.
But to me it's almost getting kind of gimmicky, where it's
I mean,
like there was a period of time in the mid 2000s or maybe a little bit later 2000s, end of 2000s era, that everything was Christian metal. And it was
yeah.
like,
Yep.
if you wanted to get a signing, come out, say, hey, I love Jesus. Boom.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like tooth and nail. Boom, boom,
Yep.
boom.
Yep.
And yeah, I just kind of feel we're on that phase right now where it's just like, there's so many, dude. I get inundated with all these like up and coming bands that are just, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not dogging on women at all. And I think a lot of them are great. Spirit Box
Yeah.
is like, I love Spirit Box.
Yeah.
And Courtney's an incredible singer and
Yeah.
incredible front person, front woman. There you go.
Yeah.
And but either which way, it feels kind of like a fad right now that we're kind of riding into. But you're kind of like, hey, dude, I always liked the lead singer chick for bands,
Yeah.
so
I mean, that's, Um, it's always been a thing for me. I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, even early in this moment,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, and I'll be
They
honest
were
with you, like,
heavy.
it, yeah, I mean, that was straight metalcore until
Yeah.
what was that record called? The Dream.
The Dream. Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and that to me, that's where they peaked,
Yeah.
and I lost them after that.
Oh really?
I know there was a lot of member changes. She kind of adopted the whole witch kind of persona thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, go back to what you were doing before. Um, but I think that
Are you yeah, are you
somebody,
thinking Black Widow? Which one are you? Oh, you know, The Dream. Yeah, yeah,
the
you're
Dream.
right. See,
Yeah,
I felt like they peaked on Black Widow.
honestly, I don't think I ever
Oh,
listened to
dude,
it. Because
there's some
it got too hokey for me. There was like, she leaned into kind of the feminine thing a little too much, I think.
right, and that's where the Black
Um,
Widow was. She was really leaning into
right.
it, but
And I'm like, I get what you're doing, and I just, I want it kind of like neutral. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep, yep,
And she kind of, pinged to one side, which is fine, conscious
yeah.
decision. I
Oh,
just kind of
totally.
lost it
Yeah,
after.
because I
The
think
songs are
she was
probably
doing.
great,
Yeah,
but
yeah, she was totally doing like the baby doll kind of
yeah,
look and stuff at the beginning, and
yeah, the
obviously she's
Barbie
trying to.
thing or whatever.
Right, right. She was trying to find her place. And, I've seen interviews with her talking about that before where she was like, I think she was like a single mom and stuff. And she was like just
Yeah,
trying to get respect, and
yeah,
she was like, so I got to lean into this woman thing at some
yeah,
point. And so that's where she went. And then obviously
yeah,
she went the other way because it fit her voice a little bit better too, to be like more of
yeah.
the sultry, seductive kind of thing.
Mm,
But man, when they first came out, dude, they were heavy. That
yeah,
chick can scream, man.
yeah. It was
Whew.
all aggressive vocal, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really got into early Lacuna Coil, and it's
Oh
just,
yeah.
I don't know,
Great band.
something about kind of the juxtaposition between like that style of guitar playing and a female voice. It worked really, really well. Um,
When
in
done
my head
well.
anyway, when done well. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because
Um,
how many bands of that time were coming out trying to be Evanescence?
correct.
And there's only one Amy Lee, as far as I'm
Hmm.
concerned, but
Right,
there's 10,000 who are just below Amy Lee, and it
right,
didn't work. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that, um, front women like Courtney from Spirit Box, they do it so well that they inspire a whole new generation um, of
Yeah,
females to do that style. Because I think initially, at least back, late '90s, early 2000s, they didn't want to do it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, it was very much a boys' club,
Yeah,
and
that's
they
true.
really they
That's a good
really had
point.
no interest in doing it. And that is also too, before that style of vocal, it was really before anybody knew how to do it in a healthy way. you,
Yeah.
you know and I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this too. Like, you really screaming.
Yes.
You're really, using your vocal cords in a
Yeah.
way that's not super healthy.
Yeah.
um but I think that they're just more, inspired now. I mean, Courtney, Tatiana from Ginger, I mean, they're doing it just as good or better than a lot of the male counterparts out there. So I think it really is kind of a choose your fighter kind of scenario. And
Right.
and that's, to me, that's cool. But again, I like that juxtaposition, because when somebody like Tatiana sings, like sings like in her
Yeah.
natural voice, like, it's almost like opera. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
just, so they can do both to a very like crazy extent.
100% agree with you.
When you're right up the middle on something, yeah, probably going to lose a lot of
Yeah.
people. But if you can ping back and forth, and you can write vocals in that style and
Yeah.
bounce back between the two, you're going to go far.
Right. And that's a great point because I think that's where okay, and I'm going to put him up there as one of the best to do it and stuff, even though he writes kind of cheesy lyrics. But Ivan Moody is probably one of the best to do it, to go back and
he,
forth. He's got an amazing singing voice, amazing
yes,
singing voice,
I'll give him that
such a
credit.
great baritone. And but again, and then his scream is just brutal, and and then to go back and forth between that and everything, it's really difficult. That's what I did. I sang and screamed, and I wish I
Mm,
wouldn't have, because it
right.
was hard. but he's one of the best to do it. Corey Taylor's up there too. Corey,
Yep.
going back and forth and screaming and singing and stuff.
Mhm.
It's a difficult, trade. And so to have a woman be able to do that again, granted, like what we're talking about, it's a little bit different of a scream these days,
Yeah.
but still, you're still using a lot of your vocal cords to do a lot of
Hmm.
different things and stuff, and it's impressive. But you're
Yeah.
right though, but to have that almost operatic
Operatic.
operatic, there you go,
Operatic.
thank
Yeah.
you, operatic kind of ability to sing and then be able to come out with something brutal on top of that and stuff. It's a
Yeah.
cool mix. Yeah, it's fun.
You, you know who else is really good at it is Alyssa from Arch Enemy.
Yes, yeah,
She's
she
really
was one
good.
of the first, man.
Hmm.
She's got a heck of a scream, dude.
Yeah. And
But
it's wild too because of who she replaced. She
yeah,
replaced what was her name? Angela something.
yeah,
Um, who there were no clean vocals at all,
right, yeah,
in that band. And, they were coming up alongside Lacuna Coil. And I remember because they were both on Century Media at the same
correct,
time.
yeah,
And that's how I kind of remember that. But yeah, I think it's, they're just taking them off the cover and putting them in front.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think, I think everybody's enjoying it. I mean, Spirit Box is massive.
yeah.
And they're tremendous live. I
Oh
would go
gosh,
see
yeah.
them anywhere.
Well, that's what I
Um,
was gonna say is like Courtney LaPlante. I mean, she's really found her groove because like I remember the first time I saw her, she was with I Wrestled a Bear Once,
mhm.
which was difficult because she was the replacement singer for I Wrestled a Bear Once, and she got a lot of flack.
Yeah.
And that's difficult because I've been there, and that's not easy. But anyways, I'm so happy for her to have found a band and found so much success. But the other thing is too is like back in the day when she was in I Wrestled a Bear Once and everything, it was all about like looking like scene,
Mm-hmm.
swift hair over, blah blah blah, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And nowadays she's just like, I'm a you know, voluptuous woman, blah, blah, blah. And I'm really going to lean into the femininity of it all.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome because there's something about like having like a beautiful chaos that adds so much more depth to
Mhm.
just metal, all
Yeah.
the way around. And because the thing is, like, what we're kind of talking about earlier, but it does get a little old and played out with just the brutality all the time, and
Right.
so to add some more seasoning to it,
Mm.
and it gives it more of a, you know, more depth, like I said,
Yeah.
more flavor, it's cool, and yeah, but that's why I kind of like some of that wonky stuff, man, like baby metal even, or like it's weird, but it works,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm not a huge fan. I don't have any of their albums or anything, but like every once in a while, it's like it comes on, I'm like, okay, I dig this, this is kind of fun, but
Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing about, music, it's, you never know what's going to work until it
right,
works,
yeah.
and I think that's part of the fun of it.
Well, and and we could, I'm going all over the place. I'm sorry. But one of my favorite
It's all
bands
good.
about taking a bunch of weird elements and putting them together and actually making it work to me, I think one of the best ones to ever do is Dog Fashion Disco.
Oh,
I,
100%.
oh my gosh, that band is amazing.
Yeah.
If nobody's heard of Dog Fashion Disco, you've got to go check it out right now. That band is so much fun. I don't even know if they're on Spotify. I think that they ran into a
Uh,
thing with their
uh,
label problems as well.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you can
They,
only find them on YouTube.
yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
Kind
But
of, I think you're right because those are probably actually Ad Nauseum and what was that other record? Erotic Massage.
Erotic
Those
Massage,
were,
yeah,
um, those are probably the last two records I bought on iTunes. If memory serves,
yeah.
but
Oh, it
they're
looks like
fun.
they are
Okay,
on
perfect.
Spotify. Yeah.
But yeah, just there's some crazy, crazy songs on there.
Yes.
But they're fun.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh, dude.
I've got some merch upstairs, I think.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think I got a shirt. Um,
Dude, they were so much fun back in the day.
yeah, they were.
Gosh, that's good stuff. Just, I mean, something about adding comedy to your music.
Yeah.
Talk about just different flavors. I mean, nobody
Oh,
nobody did that, well, at least
oh
not
yeah.
very often.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean they could go from like hardcore to lounge.
yes.
Like
Yeah. I
the
mean, just
next
having
track.
harpsichords and
Yeah.
just all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. I think
Circus
it's
music,
uh
gosh, it was great, man. They're
yeah.
so good at it. You know who was also really good at it, and I hate to give them any sort of props because the lead singer
Uh-oh.
is a douchebag, is
Uh-oh.
MSI. MSI was a lot of fun, but that guy ended up becoming,
Really?
you didn't know about this?
Uh-uh.
He's a pedophile.
Oh, okay. Nope. Did
Yeah.
not know that. Okay.
Yeah. So the biggest of douchebags.
God,
So I know it sucks because
what's
I
wrong
actually
with
like their
people?
music. And yeah, weren't they played so we ended up not to toot our own horn, but we were like the last metal show to play at the Ranch Bowl before it got torn down. I think MSI played right before us. Like not that night, but I think it was like the night before or something like that.
Could very well be.
Yeah, because they still had the cage up and everything in the front of the
Mhm.
stage.
Yeah. They were around all the time.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
but
Um,
yeah,
that's
it's
too
too bad
bad.
what
I didn't,
happened with all
yeah,
that because I
I
freaking
did not
love
know
that
that.
band. But then after, ugh, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Um, hmm. Yeah, I haven't even thought about that band in a long time.
Yeah, their music was fun. I'll give it that, but we'll
Yeah.
leave it there. Anyways, we got to go to a
Yeah,
better corner of the
that's
world right now, dude. I
yeah.
just brought it
Yeah.
down. I am so sorry. I deflated this so fast. But okay, so coming full circle,
Yeah.
obviously there was some butt rock back then and some butt rock today, and we can't help it. It is what it is, and people keep
Yeah.
buying it, and sometimes it's kind of like the fast food of metal. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
it's super easy, it's real quick. It's probably not the
Yeah.
best for you, but sometimes it tastes really good. You got a
Right.
hankering for it at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're
Exactly.
gonna go get it, because it's quick, it's
Exactly.
easy, and it tastes good. So
Yeah. It's very low maintenance.
yeah,
It's low involvement. You don't have to think about it, and just turn it on and it is what it
yeah.
is. And if you feel like singing click, click, boom, go for it.
Yeah. I ironic.
Yeah.
That's the
Like
name of
what
that
were
song.
what were
Because it
some of
pretty
the other
much like
songs?
that was the end of, that era and it just shot and killed it.
What were some of their other songs? I don't even
I
remember.
don't know.
Oh wait, he's got it up on his website because he I
I
was looking at
I
Josey
would
Scott's
imagine.
website.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot about that song. Um, I don't remember. Oh, he did that song "Hero" with
Okay.
what's his name from Nickelback.
Okay. But that's a good song.
It's not bad, but I have a feeling Chad Kroger wrote it.
I'm just saying, if I'm jumping into the big pool of fudge, that's my pool of fudge
Yeah,
right there. I kind of
yeah,
dig that
it
song.
was
It's
it was
it's
a
fun.
decent song. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fun. It's nice. That's definitely one that I don't mind getting stuck in my head from now and again.
yeah.
But yeah, that was like
I,
on the Spider-Man 3 soundtrack, I
uh-huh.
think.
One of the
Um,
Spider-Man movies.
yeah,
That
that's a
was that was a Nickelback song, and he was just a feature on it. So
I
like,
think you're right. I think you're
what
right.
is he? And I mean, it's just kind of the man who brought you the hits. Click, click, boom.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
boy.
funny.
Okay, I should stop looking at his website before I have to reevaluate everything I've said on this show.
Oh, that's funny. All right, man. Well, I think we could probably put a pin in it. I think we've just like the labels did at that time with all this, they milked this for what
Yeah.
it was worth. I think we've milked this for all it's worth too.
Yeah, I
So
think we made our point.
that's right. All right, awesome, dude. Well, hey everybody, thanks again for listening.
For
Please
sure.
check us out on all the socials out there and spread the word. We really appreciate
Definitely.
everybody checking us out. And until next time, good
See ya.
journey.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.